crossed over into the promised land. And so when they cross over, they have taken down Jericho and other places. I'm maybe going to pronounce this the wrong way, but this is the way I pronounce it, AI. Like, I don't know how to say that town's name. Anyway, so there was 2 towns there, and he was taking the Israelites in, wrecked the place, Jericho's wall came down, and so all the people in the land, it was Hittites and Jebusites, there's all different clans in the towns and the countryside, and they had heard of what Joshua and the Israelites had done when they'd come out of Egypt and come across, and the reputation of their God and what he had done for them. So a couple of the people got frightened. There was a whole load of the different clans, tribes had started to gather together as a large army to come against them. It says in the first part of that chapter, and then a wee bit on down, probably verse 3, I think it's verse 3, it says that Gibeonites, they had become frightened. They weren't going to fight, they had become frightened, and the leaders of that sort of clan had said to them, basically, get a sympathy vote, go up and get them to make an oath with you. So how they done this is like deception. So how they done this was like they put tattered clothes on, and they had sandals with holes in it, and bread that was going stale, and like old wine sacks. Everything was old and used and abused, and they went dressed like this for a sympathy vote, to get them to feel sorry for them. And they presented themselves to the Israelite leaders, and they said to them, we want to make an oath with you, we want to make a treaty, like that you won't attack us, basically, because they were frightened. And it says Joshua and the leaders took some of their offerings, took some of their bread and stuff and things that they had brought to them for, I suppose, gifts. That he had taken that, but he hadn't consulted the Lord first. So when I read that verse, it was like, oh, why did they not do that after the Lord had taken them out of Egypt and all that he had done for them, and seek the Lord? Why didn't we seek the Lord? But it shows me how fickle we are. Like, one minute we remember the Lord and what he's done for us, and the next minute we forget to talk to him about something. We just go on ahead, rely on our own strength. And I don't know, I'm sure Joshua didn't really think about that. You're caught unaware. These people presented and they give you a wee sad story, and you're caught off guard, and you forget to ask the Lord all about it, because you're supposed to ask everything. Like, you're supposed to bring up all sorts of petitions before God, and that means about everything. That means about, purchasing the car, purchasing the house, what friends you should have in your life, what church you should go to, you should consult them and everything. And anyway, Joshua forgot to do this, so that was grand. He took the bits and bobs and he made a treaty with them, and give an oath before God that he wouldn't attack them, wouldn't hurt them, things like that. So that's great. And then it said 3 days later, and the number 3 is really significant in the Bible. It said 3 days later, the Israelites realised that the Gibeonites were actually people of the countryside, and that's what Joshua had said to him to begin with. He was like, how do we know that you're not people from around here? We don't want to make a treaty with you, basically, because you're an enemy. You could threaten us. And then they had tricked them. So then they'd realised they had tricked them, they'd deceived them. They'd really deceived them. And then all of the Israelites started to grumble, and they're doing their usual vengeance on this. And that's not what Joshua done. Joshua approached them and said to them, why did you do this? And then they came and said, look, we were frightened of you. Your God has a reputation, and what he's done for you and all the people you've overtook, and we heard about what you've done in Jericho and Ai, and we don't want this to happen to us. So we came to seek basically favour of you and give you a sob story, wanted you to feel sorry for us, and we were frightened. So Joshua was like, right, okay, well look, see, because you've done this, because I've made an oath with you before the Lord. Joshua took that very serious, and there is verses, I can't remember where that is, I will put the scriptures down below. It's better not to make an oath before the Lord if you're not going to keep it. Like, just don't do that. You should always, like, a vow or an oath, so like marriage vows, or I don't know, say you get an agreement with someone and say, like, I'm going to help you with this, and you've made a promise to them, and especially in the likes of vows, so covenant vows. I think marriage would be the big one that I'm thinking of, or even just your salvation to Christ that you've made. Like some of those, Samson would the Canaanites, they made an oath to not to cut their hair. The men never cut their hair, and that's where Samson's strength come from. That was a vow of that tribe, and the men never cut their hair. That was a rule. So to make a vow or an oath before God, if you're standing before God and people as your witnesses, and you make that vow, you may keep it. You may keep it. Don't make vows, don't make oaths before God, and he doesn't like that. He doesn't like you come back on your word. This is dishonesty, I suppose, really. And so Joshua was worried about this, so he said, right, because I've made this oath, I can't attack you, I can't do anything about it, because I respect God. Like, he had the fear of the Lord more than anything. He respected God in regards to that oath. So then he just said to them, well, it's your own fault, you've cursed yourselves, you're now going to have to work the land. So he made them woodcutters. He gave them jobs. He made specific tasks for them, made them woodcutters for the land of Israel. And it actually said that he made them woodcutters to serve the land and the Lord in how he seen fit. So these people were to serve the Lord God, Yahweh, by serving the Israelites and doing manual labour. And Joshua didn't attack them, he didn't chuck them out, he didn't disown them. He stood by his word, and he made them, they worked, they were helpful, and they had a job. But Joshua chose to respect the vow before God rather than punish the people, and that was the righteous thing to do. And Joshua was a mighty warrior for God. God used him mightily. Moses had died and Joshua had taken over, and Moses never seen the promised land, but Joshua took the people to the promised land because God favoured him. God's hand was upon him, and he done lots and lots of other stuff as well. God used him. And when I read that, I read through the chapter and was like, as I always do, Lord, what are you trying to say to me? Have you ever had someone really betray you? And I don't mean said something bad about you behind your back and that was it. I mean, have you ever had someone really betray you? Really betray you? They deceived you. They deceived you into thinking that they were true to their word, that they were genuine and truthful. And you were taken off guard. You forgot to consult the Lord about it and about the whole situation that was going on. I don't know, say this person has said to you that they would, like, you've lent them money, I don't know, say you've lent them £10,000 to purchase a house or something like that, right? That's a lot of money. Maybe you've been saving that up for your children's, like, college funds, or for them to buy a house, or actually, it said that the Gibeonites were like, do whatever you want with us. Like, they were so frightened. They were like, just, you tell us what to do and we'll do it. We don't want to cause a war. We don't want to go back. We don't want you to be against us. Whatever you see fit. Do to us. And that's where Joshua's like, well, you know what, we'll make you woodcutters and we'll put you to use, and we'll keep you in the camp, and you can be part of our people. And maybe someone has betrayed you and they're going to come back and they're going to be like, I did deceive you, I done this terrible thing, I broke a vow, I didn't pay you that money back, I'm so sorry, it was so wrong. And either you can decide to keep resentment and unforgiveness in your heart, and it says that resentment is like bitterness, and bitterness dries the bones. You end up sick. I really believe that. And don't do that to yourself. Keep your vow, keep your promise. Don't break the covenant on your side, because that's the right thing to do. And God will reward you for that. And then, just like Joshua, see fit what to do with that person. You might say to them, like, hold on a minute here, that behaviour was bang out of order. And you always keep in your mind humility before God. What would Joshua do? What would God do? How would he have you treat people? So when you go into the New Testament and you look at the character of Christ, and how would Christ have treated someone like that? The woman that was caught in adultery, the woman at the well that had 5 husbands, the stinking Pharisees, and he met Nicodemus, and things like Matthew the tax collector and Zacchaeus, who were ripping people off, and people had demons in them, and he welcomed everybody, the lepers, the contagious diseases. He welcomed everybody, and there was people that were sick because of their sin, and he would say, your sins are forgiven and you're made whole, you're healed, and away you go. And he forgave everybody, and he gave everybody a chance, everybody. So I suppose, again, when we look at the scripture in the Old Testament, it's a type and a shadow of Christ, and Joshua's behaviour would have been how Christ would have dealt with that and treated them, with humility, grace and mercy. I had done a video on God's grace yesterday, and that's exactly what I seen in the scriptures was grace, and put them to use. So if people come back and apologise, put them to use to say, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. This is what I want you to do. Not because you're holding them over a barrel to beat them around the head and make them do something. It's just, come on back, come on in. But these are the rules and regulations to this relationship. These are the rules and regulations to, you borrowed that money off me, I need it back. And come to an agreement. I don't know, maybe you need to put something legal in place and actually hold them to it, or they might come back and I want to work it off. I haven't got the money to give you, can I work it off, like the woodcutters? And you're still the lender, not the borrower in that instance. You still have lent that person the money, for example, and they're working it off, so you're still not the borrower. And God, when you do something righteous in God's sight, not because we are righteous, because He is righteous, because of His teachings and His character, and if you're trying to apply the word to your life and live a righteous life because of Christ's example, God will always honour you. He will honour you in that decision, and what you'll get, it says in the Bible that you'll get tenfold back. So imagine you lend someone the £10,000, and the Lord will honour you and give you 100,000 back, or double fold, 20,000 back, in every which way He wants to do that. But if you block God, you seekers. There's just a wee motorbike. I do not want to kill anybody on a motorbike today. I don't know where he went. Those sorts of people. And there's a lot of controversy in the world, and especially in the country I'm living in. People here are so narrow-minded. I was once that person. I put my hand up and say I'd have had these opinions. But God changed my heart and changed my mind. And when I started to read through the scriptures, the amount of foreigners that were in the camp of the Israelites in the Bible, and they were welcomed in, and God gave them instructions, and these people will share of your blessings, and these people are foreigners in your land, but you remember you were once a foreigner in Egypt. Do not treat these people like this. And that's, I constantly remember those verses whenever, people will come into my work and they're from Somalia, they're from Ghana, they're from India, Philippines, they're from Nigeria, they're from loads of different places all over the world. And the country I live in is predominantly white. It really is predominantly white. And recently we've had such an influx of refugees and things like that there, and asylum seekers, and my country is really starting to change. It's really obvious, actually. And there's a lot of people here of all different colour, all different creed, all different ethnicities, all different languages, and the more I meet them, the more I get my eyes opened as to God's creation. And who do we think we are to decide who lives in our country? This land does not belong to us. It belongs to the Lord and all of his creation. And that's just the way I look at things now. And it's not up for me to decide who does and doesn't get to be here. The governments are put in place for those specific things to deal with. And do they deal with them right? Probably not, but that's not on my shoulders. It's not my stress. God has appointed people in government and authority to make these decisions, and I just have to pray. My job is to pray. I always say this: pray, 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 Lord, that the right decisions are made in regards to foreign nationals in the country, migrant workers, asylum seekers. Like, we don't know what those people have gone through. I do. Recently I had training, and my mind is blown about what some of these women endure in other countries, and I would never ever want to be in that position. I would never want my daughter to be in that position. And if they had a chance to get out of those awful circumstances, you'd want that for your child too. So don't be so selfish as to reject someone coming here in your country to have a better life for their children. And that's my personal opinion. That's what God has dealt with me on. Whether you want to take that, throw it out, whatever, that's up to you. Work out your own salvation in fear and trembling, and that's just what I've worked out. I feel really convicted about that. See, I got quite a good few things out of that chapter. And yeah, people are always going to deceive you. People are always going to betray you. You're always going to have troubled times, but God is always with you. Don't forget to pray about it all and have him go with you. Make the right decisions and choices. And treat people as how they don't deserve to be treated. In our fleshly minds, we're like, they don't deserve that. Did those people that deceived Joshua deserve to be treated with kindness and kept in the camp? No, probably not. Like, they let on. They let on. They were poor. And yeah, that's how we should treat people. We should forgive them and bring them back in and give them something useful to do. Give them something useful to do. And if they deceive you on their own head bait, like those people were cursed to work the land. And if someone deceives you, then you know what? If they owe you £10,000, they're going to have to work that off. They're going to have to work it off and pay it back. So you'd have brought that on their own head. And it's got nothing to do with you. You didn't deceive them. So yeah, I suppose that saying, what goes round comes round, or you reap what you sow. So they sowed lies and deception, and they had to reap the consequences of that, and work the rest of their days, work hard the rest of their days to pay it back. So there you go. I'll put the scriptures down below. Listen, if you're enjoying these, I don't know, we'll call them teachings. I don't know, they're lessons. Teachings. Lessons that God teaches me when I read the Bible. You read it for yourself. Go and see what God is saying to you. How do you apply that to your life? You might have to read over scriptures multiple times. Start thinking of it in a alternative way. It's not just written on the Bible for a story. What can you learn out of that? And people will be like, oh, the Old Testament, whatever. I learn more out of the Old Testament and these fantastic stories that play in my head like, I don't know, like proper B stories. I can see all these characters, and I learn stuff out of that, like lots. I learned stuff out of the New Testament too, because it's all about Christ. Everything's about Christ. When I read the Old Testament, it's a type and a shadow of Christ. I always learn something. I always think of it that way. Where's Christ in that? So it all points to him. And yeah, that's how I think about things, and how can I apply it to my life. So God's just telling me, Emma, whoever's betrayed you, this is how you need to look at this situation. This is how you need to deal with them. And is that easy? No. But I need to do it because that's what God's dealing with me. Yeah. So that is the lesson for today. I put it up to work. It was a bit late this morning. I hope you got something out of that. And I love Ecclesiastes. My pastor was like, oh, nobody teaches out of Ecclesiastes. Let me tell you, I could teach you so much stuff out of Ecclesiastes, because in this instance it says that there's nothing new under the sun. People deceived then, and people are going to deceive you now. And there's a time for everything. Maybe there's just a time in our life that we're deceived by people, and we need to learn a lesson out of that. And it's painful, it's hard, and we do have troubles, and it's not right. You think God thinks that's okay? No, clearly not. But it's our heart posture towards people, and forgiveness and redemption, reconciliation with friendships and things like that. And yeah, nothing new under the sun of the Lord. And the Bible is still alive and kicking now, because I'm still learning stuff out of it and how to apply it to my life. So that's the lesson for today.